Hello, everyone. This is my video presentation. The topic CSS, Cascade, and Inheritance. My name is Manuel Guevara de la Cruz, and our course is WDD230. Let's start. This is the CSS Cascade. We are going to talk about that. For example, in this picture, we can see an actual cascade with different levels of hierarchy. Okay, so for example, we have the importance, the origin, specificity, and position. So we are going to talk about the different conflicts that may have been when two or more declarations are applied to the same element. Okay, this is what we are going to talk about. It is also possible that there may be a conflict between these two same elements. When conflicts like this occur, the declaration with the most weight is used. So how is weight determined? Okay, let's see. For example, in the first level of the CSS cascade, we have the importance. Okay, in the importance level, it will look at the type of rule we are looking at. Okay, remember the type of rule we are looking at. So there are different types of rules in this part. For example, transition, important, animation, and normal rules. So in this example, which of these two rules would win? What do you think? Try to pause the video and answer this question. Okay, I will give you the answer. Here we have two rules, okay, for the same element paragraph, okay? So the rule that wins is rule B. Why is that? Remember that important declarations fall on the second level, while normal declarations fall on the fourth level. So here we have, this is the important declaration, and this is the normal declaration. So this option A is a normal declaration, while this option B is an important declaration. So since important has more hierarchy than normal, that rule of important will be displayed. Okay. All right. Next level of the CSS cascade. Let's see. Origin. In the origin, we will look at places where the rule can be defined. The rules can be defined on website, on the user, or on the browser. So, for example, in this case, fight time. Which of these two rules would win? You have to decide which of these two rules would win. We have option A. This is a rule that defined in a website style sheet, and this other rule in option B designed in a browser default. Okay, so which of those will win? Let's see. All right. According to the levels of the CSS cascade, remember that website specific declarations fall on the first level. That's right, first level. While the browser defaults fall on the third level. Browser default on the third level. Okay, this is the browser default, rule V, and website default. So therefore, since website has better hierarchy than browser, that's why the answer is rule A. Okay. Okay, next. Specificity. The specificity level, we look at the ID target elements, or maybe at class target elements, or inline target elements. Okay, there are, you know, different levels of selectors. Okay, for example, in this case, which of these two rules would win? Here we have option A with a style inline, okay, rule, and here we have a CSS file rule. Okay, so according to the hierarchy, we will see that rule A wins. Why? Remember that inline styles fall on the first level, while, okay, while type rules fall on the fourth level. This is type rule. Okay, therefore, rules that are inline have more weight or more hierarchy. All right. Another example with specificity. For example, what about these rules? We have different selectors. The first is a class and the second is an ID selector. Okay, the one that will win is rule B. Why is that? Rule B because as we see, rules with a class selector fall on the third level, okay, and rules with an ID selector fall on the second level. Therefore, the one that has more hierarchy is the ID level. So the answer is B, rule B. All right, because of the ID hierarchy. All right. Next. For example, on this tire of the cascade, on this level, ties can be broken within this tire. This means that if two rules have the same number of hits on their highest level, one can win by having a hit on the next level down. Okay, so in these two options, we see that the answer is option B, rule B. Why is that? Even though both of the rules have the ID selector, both have, it says, one hit on the ID selector, which is the second one, and rule B additionally has one hit on the third level. So the third level is a class. So which beats rule says hit on the fourth level, one path. Okay, so here we are using, besides the ID selector, we are using an an class selector. Therefore, we are using more than an ID, Therefore, rule B wins. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Ma, ahorita voy a bajar un ratito, estoy ocupado. Okay, sorry for that. So next, in this case, now we have position. Position refers to the order of the declarations. So for example, in this case, the output is, this is my heading, but in color blue, because the color blue is at the bottom of the declarations, as you see in the CSS. All right. So the one that is defined at the end is the one that will display the rule. Okay. So for inheritance, we will rely on the diagrams where we can see the titles of parents, child, descendants, ancestors, right? For example, all of the elements that are inside of one element are descendants of that one element, which is the ancestor. And if we refer to two elements, for example, a div and a UL, since the UL is inside the div, we can say that UL is the child and the div is the parent. Okay. So for inheritance, in CSS, inheritance controls what happens when no value is specified for a property on an element. CSS properties can be categorized into types: inherited properties and non-inherited properties. I will explain both of them with examples from CodePen. For example, for the inherited property, here we have this paragraph. Inside this paragraph, we have an EM tag. So this EM tag is the child of this paragraph tag. Therefore, the EM inherits the value, the rule from the paragraph. Okay, the paragraph has a rule color green. So the EM adopts that rule. This is the inherited property. Now, let's see another example for the non-inherited property. In this case, we have the same paragraph and the EM as a child of the paragraph. But you can see that the EM doesn't adopt this declaration, which is for the paragraph text align, a border medium solid. Okay, you can see the paragraph that has that border, but the EM doesn't have. Okay, so border properties are not inherited in this case, unless we can add that property to the EM. So we can say EM, the property border, and medium solid. Okay, so now as you can see, the EM element also has this border property. All right, so these are the most important CSS cascades and inherited information. So I finished this presentation with these resources I took for my presentation. I'm sorry if I explained it too quickly, but the first attempt I did, it took me like half an hour to explain all of that. So that's why I try to reduce as much as I can. So thank you. I will appreciate your comments and your questions. Thank you very much.